Let's go for the actual store. Europa natural
Greetings, humanity, and welcome to Europa Natural Law, a roundtable transmission dedicated to healing the madness, badness, and sadness that plagues our beautiful, bountiful world. Through regaining our sanity, reclaiming our inborn sovereignty, and honoring our inherent responsibility, we can improve reality. I'm Nemo Jones, reporting for Beauty, and I'd like to welcome our guest today. Okay, let's go down to Vuk. Would you like to say hello?
Hi, I'm Vukan Kempfer from Germany.
Hi, I'm Yvonne from Norfolk. I should say originally from Essex, an Essex girl.
Hey, cool, right on. Yeah, sorry, I had the live stream playing in the background as well, so double Europa Natural Law in the house. And yeah, Derek Bartolucci, hailing from the Bay Area, where I'm at right now, San Francisco. But yeah, I've been living out in France for a long time, and it's splendid.
Splendid. And yeah, I'm Nemo Jones. I'm actually in the Shire, Devonshire, and I'm also an Essex boy. So me and Yvonne, Essex boy and the Essex girl, classic. That might not mean much to you guys, but in England, that's quite a funny thing to be. But anyway.
Yeah, really, Nemo, we should have big blown up lips and.
Yeah, well, I don't know what I would have. Something different. I don't even, to the mold anyway. Yeah, so thanks for being here. Yeah, I mentioned that I'm in the Shire because obviously the subject today is the hero's journey, and it's all about getting back to a natural way of living, really, as that's going to the depths, going to Mordor and solving the problem. That's really what the hero's journey is about. So I'm going to kind of like do a little introduction as I see it to this subject. And I was going to start talking about authority, the word authority, because the hero's journey, well, how do we know the hero's journey? Well, it's through stories, right? That's where this term has come from, is through the idea, what we learn, why are we so obsessed with story? Why do we need new stories all the time? Old ones are old now, we need the new story, but the new story has the same circular pattern as the old stories, but we still need the new one. And what is it that's so satisfying about this? Why is it so important to us? And obviously, yeah, this question of authority, who is the author? We're living in an insane time when the authority, people are placing the authority outside themselves. They're not the author of their own story. So in a way, the hero's journey is about writing your own story. And of course, the word author, the origin of that is to do with being the origin. The originator is the author, the founder. So it's the creator. So when you hand that over to someone else, you're literally saying, okay, you create my reality. I'll just let that happen. And that's not serving us. So that's a large part of what the show is about. And what that is complete abdication of responsibility, or it's the attempt to abdicate your responsibility and to deny the worth of yourself. So a huge part, as I see it, of the hero's journey is really finding the worth of yourself, going into the underworld, going through the depths to discover this actual value that you have. When you come back, when you leave on your journey, you're not the hero. It's when you return, you're the hero. You become the hero. You find your worth, the infinite worth of the individual, which is, really, I suppose, a concept that comes from Jeremy Locke As far as I know, I don't know who's talked about this before, the infinite worth of the individual. This is such a fundamental part, I think, of natural law, of our understanding of who we are, is to understand that our worth, my worth, you know, I'm going to say it, guys, my worth is infinite. And that's, you know, I invite you to feel the same thing, to think the same thing, to like really feel into that. That's what this is all about. Because everything that denies that is what's wrong. You know, everything is, we're giving away our right to tell our own story, we're giving away our worth through the madness of the world, through the delusion of the world. So, you know, if you want to talk about the hero's journey, we can talk about a really like simple, mundane example. Let's say you lose your keys. So this is just a really mundane story, right? You lose your keys. I thought I left them there. They're not in any of my pockets. So it's a mystery. Where are the keys? I have to think outside of my expectations. I have to retrace my steps. I have to think, oh, and then maybe I'd forgotten that I'd gone into the cupboard, you know, into the over there, whatever. I'd gone somewhere. Maybe I dropped them there. So you have to trace back into the unknown where you're not expecting to find the gift to bring back to carry on with the journey. That's a very, very simple kind of conception of the hero's journey. So it had this, everything that we do kind of has this circular, you know, if it's a value, it has this circular pattern. And I'm going to I wanted to quote a little, this is a quote of Dan Harmon, who's, you know, he's a TV writer. He wrote, I can't think of the show now. Anyway, he's written a lot of TV stuff, but he's really kind of written very interestingly about this subject, and he's quite obsessed with it, I'd say, by the way he writes. And this is a thing that he's written specifically about what he calls the story circle. And he says, he's talking about it in such a simplistic way that he's talking like in this kind of caveman language. He says, we need go search, we need get fire, we need good woman, we need land moon. And it's been kind of frivolous. But most importantly, we need return and we need change, because we are a community. And if our heroes just climbed beanstalks and never came down, we wouldn't have survived our first ice age. So I think that's a really kind of interesting insight into this whole thing. It's like we are together, we are one, and we have to go into the depths to find the solutions and bring them back to the tribe, bring them back to the community, to the world. You know, it's no good just disappearing off. We have to, you know, because this is the kind of thing, isn't it? The spiritual journey of like disappearing into the ether, like, oh yeah, I'm enlightened now. Yeah, well, are you? Because you're not actually bringing the gift back. You know, so that's the important part of the story. It is circular. It has to be circular. So that's a kind of, you know, I gave this kind of mundane example of losing your keys. But then if we look at the sort of actual, the real problem that we're facing together, and it's a kind of, this is a sort of problem. It's a, what would you call it? It's a kind of, it's an issue with this comparison, because normally you have the story starts in the Shire and everything is blissful and perfect, you know, and then there's an issue, there's a threat, you know, that comes in and it starts to shift. Well, we're not in the Shire and we haven't been for a long time. We're already in Mordor, really, you know, so it's a different kind of journey. So in a way, what we're actually looking for is to journey out of the insanity to find peace, you know, not to find strength, to find, you know, this value of the self, which is what's been destroyed, is the value of the self. I mean, I hesitate to say it's been destroyed. Our awareness of it, our connection with it has been destroyed, certainly. So this, so I'm trying to read my scribbled notes here. I can't make out that word, but it's the free will right. Yeah, the free will right of the individual is not understood and it's not exercised. yeah, so we're in this kind of state of delusion. And the part of that is this narrative, the story is being authored by these external authorities, you know, like the state, and the authoritative voice of the media. So everything is this external author, you know, telling us what's what. And that, in that situation, what are you? Who, if you're being told a story and you're, you know, just receiving the story, oh, this is the story of how things are. Well, that's the child. It's the immature. You haven't grown up. You haven't manned up. You haven't learned to face your demons, you know, your shadow, to learn how to grow and see your own value. Yeah, so you're not a hero, so you need, so, and this is, again, I'm just going to refer back to Dan Harmon, because he simplified the hero's journey into, like, what is it, 8 words, I think. You need, go, search, find, take, return, and change. That's the circle. This way, I suppose, from your point of view, it would be this way. You need, go, search, find, take, return, change. That's the circle of the hero's journey. And, you know, there's a reason, as I've said at the beginning, there's a reason stories have the form they take. They have to be satisfying, because this is a basic survival mechanism. You know, if there's a problem, you have to find the solution. Where's the solution? It's not in front of you. It's somewhere else. You have to go and find the solution. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a problem. You know? So, yeah, that's kind of my little introduction. And yeah, thank you. I'll hand it over to someone else. Whoever wants to
I
jump.
would like to chime in on this, because I think that, for example, a meeting, or like being confronted with new information would be a better example. Because, for example, you talked about the facing your shadows. To like dig in to an information you like received from a friend or so, and really, it's a call to adventure. Do you want to find out? You have to do it yourself. You know it. You have to. If you want to really know if this particular matter is true or not, you have to do it yourself. So you have to, like I said, you have to search for like information, doing the trivium process. Then you have to like take in all information and like yeah, return the essence of it. And I think the hero's journey is a very good metaphor for very much like how our thinking, for example, works, and many of our like daily adventures do work on the light side of happenings. Let's put it that way. Dark side works through coercion and force, and the light side calls you to an adventure. And it is like, I think when I remember it correctly, the law of one talks about the spiritual like soul journey that we have to take to like multiple reincarnations. What is depicted in the Great Arcana of the Tarot, and I think Derek, I sent you the picture of the Ra Tarot, and it's a really great depiction on when you use the Great Arcana and like put it in a circle. It's also a depiction of the like soul journey and the hero's or heroine journey, and that's been a very interesting like information and to just add to this. And I think that especially in our time now, with all the lies and deceit, I think we all could need a little adventure. So there's a lot to do, I think, and a lot of adventures to take part in.
Yeah, no doubt. Geez, I want to tail off on the whole tarot journey, but I don't know. First things first, just to satisfy anyone's curiosity with the Lord of the Rings, up in the Shire and all that, and just the masterful writing and creative storytelling and world building of J.R.R. Tolkien. And there's actually a pretty cool audiobook that just came out. It's on YouTube actually. That goes over the Silmarillion actually, and this is actually key to. This is the first book that he ever wrote that was the prelude to anything Lord of the Rings, and if you understand how Middle Earth was created and how Sauron came to be and all this stuff, and who was the predecessor of Sauron, his master, whatever the fuck. And so if we take that story, it's such a deep fucking story, and it talks about the god or whatever creator Iluvatar, and how his first creations came from his thought that became manifested. He's going over the Hermetica in this, and that was just knowing these things now and reading over them again and listening. It's wow, yeah. It just gives extra echelons of respect for the author. But not to double into that, but just think of how creation is like music, sound, energy, frequency, vibration, and the sub-creations of that, they become co-creators and all that. And then that ego identification comes, into that, consciousness of whatever entities, and they could either, he talked about, it seemed like there was this framework of almost determinism, like, the god Iluvatar wanted everyone to, sing in harmony to his songs of creation. Yet there was the guy Melkor, who later became Morgoth, who was, Sauron's predecessor, who said, like, no, I want to be my own creator of my own music. And he just struck the chords of disharmony. And so it's kind of interesting, just contemplating on that and thinking about, like, geez, I mean, the guy Melkor, he's a co-creation of Iluvatar, but it almost seems like he's that shadow aspect of Iluvatar in a sense. It's starting to stem or create the timeline of the anti-Christic, anti-life type of archetype, if you will. And so that was really interesting, just to put it all into perspective. And Nemo, you mentioned the Matrix before, and how we're living up in it. And it could almost seem like the Matrix, in a sense, is that's kind of a reach. I was thinking Matrix likened to Mordor in a sense, but so. Yeah, Sam and Frodo. That's quite an interesting pair. And so many of the characters had their own, arcs and heroes' journeys. Like these wheels within wheels, and how it was so masterfully crafted. And Tolkien was creating languages and attributing them to certain people and groups, and it's mind blowing. Honestly, read the books. Don't just rely on the fucking movies. For what they're worth, they're great, but don't go into the blings of Cower or the the Amazon bullshit, whatever the fuck. So, as everyone saw in the movies, Frodo, after all that, he needed a fuck ton of healing and shadow work, right? Because what he got, stabbed, stung, speared, and the steep
Poisoned.
cliff slipping and all that stuff. And he got Smeagoled throughout the whole damn thing and all that stuff, and Nazgul and all this shit. So thinking about all the things that he came into, like all the underworld challenges and battles and stuff that he had to resurface out of to get to that, the end point of that hero's journey cycle arc. And bringing back the gifts of just more freedom, liberation, the enlightenment, and lightening up oneself from the heavy ass fucking burden of, you know, this ring of power and ultimate destruction. And we could take the allegory of, you know, the ring of power as something of, you know, this all authority and, you know, tied to just like government, for example, this false idea of government, how people cling on to it so fucking hard, and they think they're going to obtain some kind of fucking freedom from that, yet it's ultimately going to, you know, corrupt them, even the most powerful like Gandalf and Galadriel and all that stuff. So, you know, the things to consider with that. And I'll pass it off to Yvonne, because I want to hear if she wants to speak on that or
Really,
anything
I'm
else.
actually quite enjoying listening to all your stories. Yeah, as I said to you guys before I came on, I don't really know too much about this subject. I didn't really know that it was such a thing, apart from that I feel as though I've been on my own journey. So all I can do is share a little bit of that with you, really. So I'll ask myself this question to start it off. What is it, like a hero? What is it? A hero to me means that there's something that you're trying to protect. There's a protection there. What are you protecting? And in my upbringing, when I decided to leave home when I was just, well, exactly when I turned 16, soon as I could. And when I look back, I was trying to protect what little bit of soul that I had left that wasn't absolutely demolished by being born into, a fucked up matrix and all the conditioning that comes in. And there was something in me that knew that if I stayed with my kin, I would end up an utter unhappy slave. So I had to go and seek that more to life than what I'd been used to. And I ended up living in I'm going to go right back, because this is how I started this journey with you guys, like trying to explain that I went to live in the woods for a couple of years and became very connected to nature. But as I said before, it wasn't an easy path, because I would say that I was facing the underworld. I had dark shadow people come and visit me in the night, really trying to stop me on my path. And it was, very frightening and freezing experiences. And I would say also one of the big fundamental things on that journey was facing death. And I did face death on that journey, and it was a real battle between the dark forces taking my soul or just holding on and staying put. And eventually that journey took me on everything that I wanted to know, everything that I questioned as a kid. Why can't we just go and build a house over there? Why can't we just live? Why is people taking all my mum and dad's money? Why? All the questions that I asked as a kid. I went and actually found an alternative life away from all that. And I realized that we can, as human beings, actually exist without all those systems being in place. That it can be wonderful. And then I returned on my journey, probably about 10 years later. There's lots in between, but I won't bore you with all of it. But on the return journey, I thought I could go back and actually share those gifts that I'd discovered. But the mistake I made was those people hadn't been on that horrific journey to uncover. And then also I had to face, because I left at such a young age, I hadn't really discovered what it was that I was actually running from. I just knew that it was something not quite right and I needed to get the fuck out of there. But when I came back into, say, civilization again, I spent the next 10, 15 years unraveling mind control, unraveling the monetary system, unraveling all the barriers there that are stopping people from actually listening to some wonderful truths of how we could actually live. And I would say that I'm still on the hero's journey because I haven't found a way yet of no, actually, I'm going to retract that. I'm doing How to Become the True Media course because I think it is a wonderful way of actually finally getting an opportunity to share all the gifts that I found along the way. Yeah, and that's what my intention is. Yeah, that's all I can add because I didn't really know that it was such a thing. Sorry.
Well,
Right.
you made me think about this question. Sorry, you made me think and then I stopped thinking. But just about no, my mind's gone totally blank. Someone else, I'll bring it back. Someone else wants to jump in.
I would like to add some information for to what Derek said. I'm not sure, but I when I remember correctly, I think that Michael Tessarion spoke in an interview about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, and he said that it is like an archetypal psychological review of every archetype of people you find here on Earth, more or less, in a short description how they like behave in certain situations. And so, and I really like went far away from, like, I don't like fantasy and so on, but a friend of mine like convinced me to look into it. And when I saw this interview with Michael Tessarion, I started looking into it, and it's very, very interesting and very deep. And I think that I think that the ring in itself can be seen like a metaphor for slavery. What do you need a metal ring for? To bind somebody or someone. Yeah, I think the ring like topic and the binding is an adventure for all of us, and we are not done yet. Like the ring is still active in the world, and we should really try to do our best to destroy him once and for all.
Well,
So go Frodo.
That's in the what's it? I don't know what it would be called. It literally says, doesn't it? In the one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually right there in the text. Yeah, there's a couple of things I could say. I mean, one about the Silmarillion. I mean, this is just like anecdotal, but my dad read me Lord of the Rings when I was quite young. I think maybe around 10. Maybe younger, I can't remember, but I was like, I got so excited and I was like, oh, I've got to read the Silmarillion. I went down to the library and got out the Silmarillion and tried to read it, and I was just like, oh. It was one of the first books I read where I was just like, I can't read this. This is too slow. Nothing. Anyway, that's another thing, but maybe I'll have another go. Maybe I'm ready for it now, who knows. But yeah, I remembered what I wanted to say, bouncing off Yvonne, was this thing about bringing the gift back, obviously, like as I said at the beginning, I mean, what's the point of a gift? It's not a gift if you don't bring it back. It's yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a pointless story, So, but because of this, because we're in this age of delusion, it's like going into the darkness. is I just been kind of reflecting on this while Yvonne was talking, that it's like the darkness. There's my darkness, but then there's also the darkness of the whole, you know. So it's like what I find, and it's really uncomfortable, you know. Of course it's uncomfortable. It has to be uncomfortable, otherwise what's the point? Otherwise what are you doing if it's comfortable? But the discomfort for me is kind of like looking into the psychology of what's happening in the world, you know, and really kind of being ruthless about it, and really doing my best to be honest about it with like what I am seeing, and how I can like relate that and bring that into a way that I can explain it to people in the hopes that it's actually going to like ring true to them. Because, you know, delusion isn't just some kind of simple thing like you know, oh, you take the veil off and now you can see clearly. It's like, of course not. Like we talked about last week, you know, these devils are vying with each other to confuse you and to obfuscate and to send you down the wrong path, you know. So and that's what the whole journey is about. But when we're looking at the sort of the collective state of delusion, it's like we're already in that kind of meta sense. We're already right in the middle. We're already in the depths, and we're sort of trying. So it's time to kind of look around. This is what I feel in my writing right now that I'm doing, is that I'm kind of like really trying to like pull apart the psychological patterns, because obviously that's one part of a huge part of understanding reality, is seeing patterns, recognizing patterns. And you know, so I'm doing my best in my writing, which is really more thinking than writing. Is like, obviously it's writing, but it's so much a lot of the time I'm just sitting there thinking about what I've written and going, is this right? Because I'm trying to like pull apart the delusion, you know. I'm like, you can't just, it's no good to say, you know, come on, wake up, sheeple. You know, it's not gonna. That's never worked. You know, it's about digging into the truth, kind of trying to pull apart. You know, it's like a tangled mess of wires. You know, it's like you have to like really carefully pull that round and through and out. You know, that's the way. That's what delusion is. It's a mess. You know, so that's, I don't know, that's just where I'm at the moment, is trying to like look into this deep psychology, deep shared psychology of people, these patterns of how people are basically led into a state where they are believing comfortable truths rather than comfortable lies rather than uncomfortable truths, you know, and where that's the general state of humanity, you know. And so it's this kind of like this uncomfortable bit of going like, well, guys, actually, you know, that bit of your psyche, that doesn't really, you know, maybe you need to have a look at that. But of course, the problem is it's a house of cards. So, and this is why people who try to share something that's true about the world often encounter, you know, if they're you'll find that you can get to a certain point with someone about on a particular subject, and they will just switch off. They'll just go like, oh, I'm so upset. You've upset me so much. I can't possibly talk about this with you. Oh, you're just a this, that, or the other. You know, you probably support Donald Trump, don't you? And then walk off, you know, or whatever it is, because they're not. And the reason is, the psychological reason is because they can feel the house of cards shaking, you know, because this is what delusion is. You know, it's not slight. It's not a little bit of delusion. It's like the whole psyche is basically built on delusions stacked up on each other. And that's the sense of the self, you know, is these kind of false beliefs. They're all false beliefs. And I mean, it's like, I don't know, I feel like I have to just start talking about it in this way, because there's no point like holding back, really. What's the point in holding back? It's like, yes, I'm saying that most people are mental, you know, to use a sort of bit of a foolish term about it, you know, people are deluded. They're not thinking rationally. They're thinking in terms of what is comfortable, what the society expects of them. That's not thinking, it's believing. And that's not the same thing. Believing is not thinking, you know, and it's not knowing. Believing is not knowing. You have to you're going to have to discard all that. If you want to be enlightened, you're going to have to do this horrible work of saying, oh, everything is falling. Everything has to go away. And that is the hero's journey, you know, the individual hero's journey. And, you know, I think for myself, I've been so blessed. Sorry, I'm going on a bit, but I've been, you know, I was chatting to a friend today, and, you know, realizing again, you know, how blessed I've been to just have modeled for me the possibility of questioning, you know, and of not accepting authority in different ways in my life. I've had this modeled for me. So it's not so unfamiliar to me. So, you know, for me to look at authority and go, maybe not, you know, it's kind of almost second nature. And but the thing is, yes, it's a blessing for me personally, but I'm still in this messed up world where no one else is doing it. And now the hard bit for me is to go, I can't just know that authority is fake. That's useless. That's not helping me. That's not helping anyone. You know, I have to actually put it out there. I have to go to people and say, oi, you, stop believing in authority. Stop letting someone else author your life. You don't have the right to do that. You know, that is not your free will right. That's beyond the bounds of your free will right to do that. And it's has the effect of limiting my free will right. So it's not okay, you know. So yeah, a bit of a rant there, but hopefully that's sort of value out there.
No worries. I got to piggyback off what you said real quick, because I already had some things in mind, and you just hit a couple of those trains of thought in regards to the tarot. And when you said, you know, hey, people are mental out there. And if you correspond, you know, mentalism to the Hermetica and tarot, that's the first gate. That's the Fool card. And he said something about, yeah, people are foolish, right? Childish, maybe nice even. Actually, those are all, you know, semantics of the same meaning. Nice means childish, meaning foolish, meaning nescient, meaning lacking of knowledge, you know? Etymology, anyways, if you follow me, but and for those that have swallowed the red or blue pill, like for real, the whole truth discovery, that's a hero's journey with leaps and bounds involved, especially depending on the degrees of indoctrination one has been through, and the falsehoods and, you know, false figures of authority that they've clung on to, that have those ego attachments. And so it's like, the more calcified and, you know, scabby those scars are, the more painful that shit can be. And that's going to possibly require more healing and shadow work. And so, yeah, there's, you know, on that wheel, you have the world, and then on the bottom part of the circle of the hero's journey, you have the underworld. And on the, I'm trying to tie in Chris Nelson's cool diagrams in regards to cause and effect, you know, the plane of causes and the plane of effects. And so, yeah, starting off on the hero's journey, you know, there's kind of like that calling of a cause. There's some kind of catalyst, if you will. And then it commences, really, for reals. And when you get to that underworld part, that's when people can kind of, you know, it's the tower moment where their paradigm shifts, their beliefs are being challenged and all this stuff. And, oh, like my world's crumbling because everything I thought I know is wrong, or, you know, all this stuff. And so they're gonna have, you know, their shit fits. They're gonna get angry. They're gonna, yeah, think their whole world and worthiness within it is, you know, gone with the wind or whatever the fuck. So in this stage, if people do not process this vital stage and stay in the underworld, in the plane of effects, they're going to continue operating from the plane of effects and not have the proper, you know, knowledge and action to, you know, be at the plane of cause and to be more of the causal point to the effects in their own lives, and avoid the negative effects to the root causes of issues in the world, and be more of the solution and that kind of stuff. But staying, you know, in the underworld, that's where you also have, you know, the people that took the red pill or what, the truth pill, whatever the fuck, and they're like in the underworld, they're black pilled, and all they're doing is talking shit and, you know, commentating on how fucked up shit is and not really bringing forth much solutions. You see this being played out in the truth community or whatever the fuck, right? And so that's when you really got to take the fucking shadow work to that next level and get beyond that and use that temperance and all these things. Yeah. Do you want to add on to that, Yvonne, or anyone? Next round, I'll get into that, the whole tarot stuff, and I'll bust out the graphic.
Yeah. I appreciate what you're saying there, Derek, about the truth movement, but I do feel as though you have to go. Every individual has to go through that underworld, and a lot of people, maybe they're going through that stage, and it's just fingers crossed that they go up to the next and they don't stay there for the rest of their life. Going on the back of what you were saying, Nemo, about the authority thing. Me personally, where I've reached is, you know, I was saying I came back and became disillusioned because no one was particularly interested in what I'd set out and discovered. I also tried to physically manifest them into this, in our society as it is. And I got a first-hand experience how the dark forces like come in again. The authorities actually come in and actually try and prevent it, which pointed out to me even more, they really do not want fucking good, lovely things in this planet at all. They don't. Because I was only doing actually nice things for people, and it was a no-no, an absolute no-no. How fucking dare you try and do good things in this realm? It was terrible. But the difference is now, which is I know that I've moved on from that journey, because that knocked me for six. Absolutely knocked me for six, those experiences. How councils, authorities, they don't let you do anything if they've not fucking come up with the idea themselves for their own selfish reasons. Is I've reached a stage now where I will not be taking no for an answer, whereas before I did. And I think it's all good and well thinking about, wouldn't it be lovely to have a world to, like me, to practice my healing arts? Wouldn't it be great if I could just do that without fucking paying the tax man, without thinking about doing all those things? Well, I've got to the point where I'm going to do it regardlessly. I'm not. So you have to become creative. If you want to create the world that you want to live in and you want your children's children to live in, then you have to reach a stage where you, like boots on the ground, are trying to actually create the reality that you want to see. Otherwise, you can sort of spend a lot of your life going, oh, it'd be good if it was like this, or it'd be good if it was like that, and still have that kind of victim mentality that I've obviously ended up being rendered in my past endeavors. I'm not going to be taking no for an answer. While I'm here on this planet, even if I've got 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 20 years left in this last stage of our evolution here, I'm going to go out creating in this 3D density the world that I want to live in, and hell mend any fucking authority that comes anywhere near me and tries to stop me, because I'm not stopping this time. Whereas before I did. And regards to technology side and like sharing knowledge, I think it's good to like do 50-50. It's like using the internet is a great way of getting knowledge out and information to people. But in the last week or so, it's hit me hard how I have to boots on the ground, try and physically manifest something as well. That, you know, and yeah. I think looking into private members clubs is a really good thing to avoid having any authority coming anywhere near you. If anyone hasn't looked into those, if you want to do something in this world without anyone dictating to you, create your own club. Create your own club, because it's got nothing to do with anyone else. All right. That's all I was going to say. Yeah, I haven't got anything else to say at the minute.
Cool. Vuk? Do you want to come in?
Yeah, I would like to disagree on that club. I think that we don't need more like secret societies or like closed up groups. I think we have to change our thinking in the way that we should do it all like public, more or less. And I think that I think you, Yvonne, touched on the whole like mind control thing, and I think that to go look for yourself how much of the mind control everybody of us has like taken in, for example, is a very important part of shadow work, in my opinion. And we all got a lot of it, like the just say Disney programming and so on. I think that this is an adventure in itself, and yes, the contact with the underworld or dark side, the shadow, will definitely change you yourself, your character. But I think it's a alchemical process you like have to go through to refine yourself to really get to the point to be the best self that you can be in that particular like vision you have in your mind from yourself in the future. What you said, we have to like envision our world we want to live in, and what we want to do in like 10 years, 20 years, and so on. And I hope we agree on the point that our like surroundings isn't getting better. It's like on many different levels, like for example, radiation, or like cleanness of food and water and air and everything, information, the behavior of people. Like I think I mentioned it once, to witness like a kind gesture, for example, or like hearing somebody like building someone up, it can energize all the people around who are witnessing that scene, for example. And we could, when we really have the courage to look into ourselves, how much we have been wounded. Yeah, it takes definitely a lot of courage, but we foot soldiers here, not the high ups. We can, the grassroots movement can change this mess into, yeah, the Shire, the real one. But we are definitely on the wrong path at the moment. And I think that everybody like should listen to his inner call to adventure, or remember where he or she is at in her adventure of life. And are you like satisfied with the point you're at, or do you want to move forward? Just talking to myself. So yeah.
Yeah, can I just say something? But yeah, I don't want to start a new Freemasons or anything. Like, I'm not. I don't mean like a secret club or anything. It will definitely be involving the public. I will be opening it up to my community that I've got around me. But the difference is, when it's a private members club under that umbrella, I don't have to justify myself, or nor do any of the people that want to come and join doing the health club, which is what I'm thinking of doing. We don't have to answer to anyone. And because there's a difference between what I tried before, I was trying in their jurisdiction, and basically I got a slap round the head going, get to fuck out of our jurisdiction. So I just want to create something that's open to the public, but they are coming into a private jurisdiction. There's a slight difference there, not like a secret society or anything.
Yeah, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society, Krishnamurti. And that's obviously what a lot of people, you know, are suffering, and they know, you know, there's so many issues, mental health issues. Or are they mental health issues? You know, in a profoundly sick society, who is the measure of what mental health is? You know, and so this is the dilemma, I guess, of like where we're at. Is like we have to move. We're trying to move into health, towards health, from this state of like madness. And Yvonne was saying, you know, what is the hero protecting? What are they going after? And you know, I guess I think it's truth. You know, I think ultimately that's what we're after. That's what we're going towards. You know, I think I might have said before that, you know, well, I've said that I used to I used to call myself a Buddhist, and my son asked me the other day, do you still consider yourself a Buddhist? And I said, no, I consider myself a truthist, which is not something I particularly heard people say, but makes sense to me. And, you know, that what we've talked about, true care, you know, we've talked about in previous episodes, is that's the requirement for the hero's journey. There's no hero's journey without care. You know, if you're like, oh yeah, I've lost my keys, but I guess I'll just go back to bed. I guess I just won't ever leave the house again, you know, or whatever. That's not a story, right? You need to have the wish, the life wish, you know, the drive to act, the drive of care, to do whatever it is that needs doing. And you know, as I keep banging on about, a lot needs done. You know, we need to take this seriously. We're in dire straits, and that's the state we're at. We're in this really in a kind of underworld situation already. So it's time to really learn from this and make this. Let's make this be the low point. Let's make this be as low as it gets. You know, let's like put the brakes on the bottom of the circle and say, okay, so folks, that's the way back. You know, let's start heading back up round to the Shire. You know, this is bad enough. I'm not into this dystopian programming, you know, sci-fi programming that we've been receiving. I mean, much as I love Blade Runner, great film, you know, but you know, this is, it's like, I think I mentioned before, the projection of, you know, say Hollywood into our psyches of what the future is has it's like, or let's say the general media scape, it gives you either a dystopic future with humans in it, or, you know, no humans, you know, rewild everything, get the humans out of the way, you know. And that's not nice. Oh no, I won't say nice. That's not true. That's not a true solution, you know. The truth is that we are perfectly capable. You know, we're so more than capable of living, of authoring our own lives in the most beautiful way. You know, it's so obvious, because even under this fake authority, we still manage to create. We still manage to create beauty and humor and survive. We're surviving. You know, we're surviving in this mad scenario, but we're kind of doing. We do okay. We make do with it. We're so resilient and creative, and you know, everything else. And yeah, it's obvious to me, at least, that it's this allowing the external authoring of our story. That's the issue, you know. It's about authoring our own stories. Yeah, sorry. So, Derek, did you want to come in? And we're nearing an hour now, so it's.
Yeah, I hear you. And yeah, this whole hero's journey, it's not just a one-off or a two-off and all this stuff. Same as alchemy. Luke, you mentioned that before. We got to keep going through. It's like you reach the peak of the mountain. That's great. There's going to be another one over the horizon and all that stuff. We got to maintain poise and you know, just respect for this path work, and a shit ton of what do you call it, patience, especially in the age of instant gratification and all that shit. That's, you know, sensations within the nation, whatever the hell. And Joseph Campbell, you know, he's the one that, you know, kind of coined this whole hero's journey. And you know, reading some of the things he had to say about it, like, kind of like, one of the things he said is like, oh, it's the hero's journey is about finding your bliss. And I mean, that's, those who know the new age, you know, fluffy side of things, kind of like are quite wary of that kind of term. And I'd just rather rephrase it as the hero's journey is about finding your purpose and building your character, and, you know, going through that alchemical process, and, you know, getting the lead out of, you know, that, you know, thick skull that's been kind of conditioned through, you know, the matrix upbringing and all that shit, right? So switching over to what I was alluding to before, y'all ready for this? Because I'm not. I'm just kidding. So I made this just this morning, actually. Thank you, Oscar, who's in our group, for sharing some slides with us. I like the illustrative hero's journey wheel, and so I just cut it out and threw it over a template. You know, you have obviously on the top you have the, you know, the upper world, and the, you know, the dark world, whatever, conscious, subconscious, if you will. And so let's just go from the top real quick, because I know you got a lot of time. So player one, are you ready? You know, on your mark, get set, go. We're out of the first fucking gate. That is the Fool card, right? That's where we stand at the edge of, you know, at the beginning of the journey and all that. And so with the call to action or whatever, right? That, you know, you see the Judgment card, and that's when kind of like the conscious spirit is rising from the grave of kind of unconscious or unaware of, you know, this calling and stuff. And some might choose to go, you know, right back to, you know, sleep, whether it be a blissful, you know, dream state of whatever, or a terrified fucking slumber, you know. That's your free fucking will. Congratulations. You know, we all got it. No big deal, right? Exercise with caution, right? So the refusal, I chose the moon card, and that, you know, like the moon, the subconscious, think of it in a lot of terms, the internal struggle. You see the two dogs barking and not really understanding, maybe babbling in the land of Babylon, in a sense, not really understanding the importance of the calling. But hey, along our path, we come across guides and way showers. Excuse me. And I chose the high priestess for this because those are the gates of wisdom. That's, for me, that's the real fucking gates before the mage is properly on the stage, because she, you know, like the kind of like the gatekeeper of wisdom in a sense. And so crossing the threshold, the fifth, you know, spoke of the wheel or segment, temperance, you know, kind of like how the footing, you have 1 foot in water, emotion, and 1 foot on land, kind of physic, trying to balance those out. And you know, depending on how the waters are on that stream, that threshold, right, it might be a more tricky or easier balancing act, you know, with those two cups, when, you know, swishing the water around to harmonize these two things. And I guess take it to your emotions and how you might be feeling about what the mentor or helper has to say, and possibly your, you know, temperance of, you know, working out these indifferent feelings and not sure about yourself and all that stuff, right? So the next one is, you know, the test, you know, like you have the enemies or whatever. And the challenge, and this can be quite the paradigm shift for people, and that's why I chose the Tower card, because, you know, it's a shift in a lot of you cross that threshold, and a lot of folks might not be ready for it or whatever, and so boom, Tower moment. That's all right. That's change, and it's just up to us to properly adapt to the situation and overcome these adversities. And yeah, we have to go through the death and rebirth process. So the next one is like the approach. And again, I should have done a caveat. These cards and placements, it's not set in stone. I literally made this like an hour and a half before our discussion. And it just kind of clicked for me at that time. And I thought some of these cards could be interchangeable. But, you know, going through the transformation, there has to be the death and that before the rebirth, right? So that's why I chose the death card. And the death card is not the physical fucking death. Of course, we're multidimensional beings, right? And there's, you know, just another doorway after this, you know, incarnation experience. So we have to have that strength going through the ordeal of transformation, transmutation, before the rebirth, really. And that is kind of the treasure. And then you are more of the magician because you have overcome certain things and, you know, overcome shadow ego stuff and some traumas and that kind of stuff. But hold up, you know, we're not ready yet. There is a roadblock, and I chose the sun card. I should have, I meant to put more or less the hangman in place of the sun card, actually, because yeah, the hangman, you have you know, that shifting of perspective of things, and you still might not be fully on board with these things, and it could be creating the roadblock, the writer's block, you know. As we mentioned, we are the authors of our own book of life, you know. Do your penmanship properly, right? Get your prose in order, P's and Q's and all that. So yeah, and then the growth, yeah, we can take to the sun card, because that sun, you know, full swing of spring, that, you know, that's prime time, printemps in French. meaning there's that, heightened, just the elements and everything involved, is promoting more growth, right? And then the return back home, back to the world, but you've gained so much experience in worldly perspectives, possibly, and all these things, and there's so many different versions of the hero's journey, right? We talked about the alchemy. We talked about the waking up stuff and how truth hurts, and there's that trauma, and got to go through the shadow work to deal with it and implement it, integrate it, and all that shit, to make it simply stated. And then, as Vuk, Leslie and I spoke just in a recording yesterday, talking about the entheogenic hero's journey in regards to entheogens, and how these plant medicines, these plant guides, can help facilitate deeper understanding within ourselves, and even reveal certain traumas and recessed memories and things of that nature. So that's all I'm gonna go for that. Hope that made a little sense. Might not be the easiest to follow, but yeah.
No, thanks.
lovely.
I was really curious because I'm kind of quite new to the tarot, really, so it's really interesting to hear, even if it's your perspective, and it's all, it's
Luke's
just
the pro over here, so you should have done it.
cool. All right. Well, any short last remarks before I wrap it up?
Vuk, do you want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's around, and yeah, we had a very good talk on entheogens, and I think you, Yvonne, touched on the topic of entheogens. I think in last show or the show before, and yeah, I didn't want to just stop you with the disclaimer, but I know the rules on YouTube, so yeah, it's better to have a disclaimer. But yes, it's definitely an call to adventure for each and every one of us to explore this. And as I stated before, I think it's really important to take up our responsibility to do it ourselves, because we have to have this learning effect. We have to complete our journey, and I think that most of us, when they are honest to themselves, are stuck in a certain position that they got used to, and we are I think we are at the moment where we can do the next step, as a individual as well as society. But yeah, we will see. I think the whole call to adventure or hero's journey is a choice of free will. What do you really want? And then yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I agree, but I've also got a little element in me. I don't know if I'm still fucked up a little bit, but taking on the allegory of Lord of the Rings, there's part of me where I can't let it go. Like, when are we actually going to face fucking evil head on, like fully on the 3D density? I don't know. I've got that in me, and I can't get rid of it. Is there going to come a time when we're going to have to do that?
I think so. Yeah, soon.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. Call me a bit sinister. Can't fucking wait. Sorry.
We will see. We are live, and yeah, we will see it, I think.
I mean, I feel like it's there. I'm, I mean, yeah, just look at the, just to sort of just touch a tiny bit on current affairs, I just kind of look at this, this show, that with this big show that's just gone on, and it's the show, and then it's the, oh look, these people are going, well, let's laugh at them, all of that, the whole, these people are so mean, or these people, the whole big show. And I feel as if it's just ringing so hollow, you know. And I'm like, I don't think this can just be me. I feel like the whole thing is just, the whole facade of this show is just kind of like, it's just kind of like weighing heavy, and it's like there's no like life in it. There's no life left in it, and it's just kind of like ready to just kind of drop, and everyone's just kind of like going, yeah, I guess we're just going through the motions with this, you know. I don't know. That's and yeah, I mean, sorry, maybe that's not actually related to what you said. Maybe it's a bit of a sidetrack, but
It kind of is and it isn't.
kind of
Nemo.
isn't
I think I get where you're coming from,
like
but
that,
there is a reality. They are fucking coming in thick and fast.
It's like that show is that facade is the lie. It is the darkness, you know. And it's, yeah, I don't know. To me, that it's dark enough, you know. I don't know. I don't know that I need to see much more. I don't know.
Yeah, but how can I need to ask you this because it's heavy on my mind. Like, how can you turn around and say we're in like dark times? That's the fucking reality. We are in dark times, and it is, whether we like it or not, it is there. You can't. Otherwise, why are we having this conversation? Like, the darkness is fucking coming in thick and fast, and that's not me being negative or. It is. It's there, Nemo, and it's it has to be fully faced.
Yeah, it has to be confronted for sure. But I think that as long as we have time to do our shows and then reach the consciousness of the people, we have a chance to do it like elegantly, to like do it, let's say like capoeira, a dance. But I think and see the things like realistically, or I really try to do so. But I think, yeah, we have a problem if things stay that way, and like the consciousness doesn't move or doesn't move like faster. And I think,
really quick.
yeah, everybody of us can like make up their mind and maybe it's a call to adventure to like think about making your own show, making your own like truth-seeking adventure, or podcast or whatever. So I think that's a good idea just to think about, and we have so many fields we can like be creative, like writing, music, dancing, etc. And I think that it's very important that we people really unite and know what we want in our society and what we do not want. I'm thinking of like CBDC, for example, and robot dogs on our streets. I'm not into Terminator that much, so yeah, don't want to experience that. So that's one of the reasons why we are here, I think, and really try to awaken the minds and to encourage the people really to open their eyes and to take a realistic look around. Maybe start talking with their neighbors.
Yeah.
Or with building communities, like giving out information. And so I think that's it's our forte as a community, as a like people. And it's growing, but we can do better, I think. And
yeah,
we should like switch to another gear. So yeah.
I think the capoeira or the aikido is the other, you know, obviously the other kind of thing. I mean, anyway, whatever. The elegant way of doing things, you know, and it's like that's the human way. I think, you know, to me that's what's beautiful. That's what's like so lovely about humans, is this way of doing things. That's you know, this is not, to me, that's not human. You know, there's something like stuck to someone who's listening. I'm putting my fists together. It's like, you know, it's that abrasive way. It's like it's not
I know.
not the way.
I do know what you mean. I
And
do
it's
know
like-
what you mean.
And what I'm saying, you know, the way what I'm talking about, this kind of facade, like getting like so like thick and heavy, and like I think that's kind of part that I think. I mean, I suppose I'm just trying to be positive, you know, maybe, but it's just a sense that I've been having watching this particular show play out, and then thinking about it echoing to all the other aspects, like the way, you know, the environmentalist movement has been so like has been taken in directions which you know, are quite far from or very far from where from the spirit that it originated with, you know, for example, you know, these kinds of things. I feel as if these handed over narratives, you know, that have been authored are just kind of like looking kind of like slimy on the plate, you know. I feel like maybe this is just me being wanting to see that, but it's like, I'm like, are people really buying this slop? You know, people really want to eat this still? And that's kind of like, I suppose, my hope that that it's just starting to smell so bad that people are just kind of going like, wow, I need to really. It just isn't ringing true, you know. Like when we look at the political story of wherever the politics, you know, these people, these leaders, you know, I mean, what the hell, you know? It's never looked so insane and horrible and like just a big nasty club that like people just look at it, everyone knows the clubs they're in and the stuff that they're all like buying into, and there's nothing there. It's just a show, you know. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that that's a way, you know, where it just starts to kind of crumble and fall apart, because it's like, how can something so disgusting sustain itself? Anyway, that's my little kind of positive.
Yeah.
If that's positive.
It's the people ultimately that are holding it up and perpetuating these
Yeah,
things.
that's
If they do the inner
that's what I
work
was
and the
gonna
shadow work,
say.
and yeah, that can relieve a lot of bullshit going on in
Mhm.
society and communities and all that jazz. And we could, recreate something like the Shire that, you know, out in Hobbiton or whatever. It ain't got to be holes in the walls, but just think about, you know, those scenes where, you know, and maybe it's a little exaggerated how joyful they are to see each other, and actually they weren't all the time. But that's more of a, you know, area and place to live at that doesn't have government or all these figures of authority. They might have had, family members, or, you know, pristine family members that were kind of like known to have more clout or decision making than others, but it's just different. So we have to really think outside of the box, this fucking tesseract that the world is placed under, the fucking matrix miasma shit. So be the glitch you want to see up in that shit, and yeah, wake up, Neo, Cortex.
All right, cool. I'll wrap it up there. So thanks, everyone. Great discussion, and yeah, and thanks to everyone behind the scenes. I know there's been quite a lively chat on the well, at least on the Europa natural law discussion, and we've had a few people watching there, so that's amazing. And I just can't seem to like listen to what people are talking about and read stuff and then bring that in or whatever. So yeah, sorry if that's if I'm not managing
Right,
to
yeah, and
respond.
just real quick to any of the listeners, my streaming service, I'm not able to connect 100% to the Europa natural law chat, so I'm not able to just, you know, pop up everyone's comments and all that stuff. I'm not even able to see them from this platform, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and all that.
Yeah, and yeah, please, you know, as I always say, the algorithm is not really on our side. Let's, you know, do what we can. If you're there, if you're with us, if you like what we're doing, then please press all the buttons, make stuff happen, get the algorithm excited, like, comment, share, etc., etc. And what else? Everyone's links, if they have them, will be in the description below. and as well as a link to our Telegram group where we have lively discussions every week. We talk about the topics that are upcoming in the show. We talk about other stuff related to natural law. It's great. I mean, I love it. It's you know, it's a really great community, I think. And you're welcome to join us there. We're going to head over there now and have a chat, post-show chat, and you can come and join us with that. But until next week, I am Nemo Jones, reporting for Beauty, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Europa Natural Law. Thanks, everyone.